dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Amelia Lee. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation tells our sister station, WVLT, they are investigating an in-custody death. This happened at the Campbell County Jail this morning. They are currently notifying the next of kin, and we will keep you updated as we learn more information on this story. It is officially forest fire season here in the mountains, and some folks in eastern Kentucky are already seeing the effects of this. The W.R. Castle Fire Rescue Squad in Johnson County is asking folks to not burn anything outside until weather conditions improve. They say that multiple Johnson County fire departments have been out fighting preventable wildland fires. Funding is going to a water treatment center in the mountains. WYMT's Caroline Mueller explains what this means for eastern Kentucky.
In 2023, the Hazard-Perry County Economic Development Alliance applied for Kentucky Product Development Initiative funding. Zach Lawrence is the executive director, and he says having a water treatment plant will be beneficial to the community.
The city of Hazard's making a transformational investment in the water system here. We thought, what better way than to pair something like this with that, to also then get funding to turn around and do a 42-acre build-ready site.
They received funding for a second water treatment plant and transmission line feeding for Perry, Breathitt, and Knott counties.
$4.2 million for us is going to be a game changer to throw in our industrial park.
The industrial park is located right off of Highway 15. Lawrence says there are some people working in the area, but there is room for more people to come and occupy the space.
We're just working on building that up and trying to make it a place that's welcoming and inviting and prepared for growth here in the region.
Organizers say this will output 3 million gallons per day of excess water capacity directly to Coalfields Regional Industrial Park. In Perry County, Caroline Mueller, WYMT Mountain News.
Now it's time for a first look at our weather this evening. I'll toss it over to meteorologist Eric Dean. And Eric, I know we have been having not an ideal amount of rain, especially in October, not a good amount. And do we have some hope to kind of get through that and maybe have a little bit of a wetter November?
I mean, for the entire month is too far out to tell. Short term, though, we do have a nice amount of rain chances in the forecast. Good evening, everybody. Take a look here at the numbers for today. We made it into the mid to upper 70s, 78 in Irvine, 78 in Jackson. Manchester made it to 78. We made it to 77. And Hazard, Williamsburg made it to 75. And right now, we are substantially warmer as compared to 24 hours ago. 20 degrees warmer in Prestonsburg, 9 degrees warmer in London, 14 degrees warmer in Williamsburg, 25 degrees warmer in Monticello. All is quiet right now on live pinpoint Doppler radar, and this will get a break for Monday, but rain chances will start to pick up in the overnight hours of Tuesday going into Wednesday. And you can see as we start the clock and take a look here at Monday, you can see we'll see a mixture of sun and clouds with temperatures in the 50s to start. By the noon hour, we'll see temperatures staying in the low to mid 70s, unseasonably warm for this time of year. We should only be at 62 degrees. Now, the question is the rain chances. How long will they last? I'll have the details on the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Amelia.
All right. Thank you, Eric. As of today, more than 77 million people have already cast their ballots in the presidential election. Vice President Kamala Harris is focusing on the battleground state of Michigan, with just over a day to go before Election Day. CBS News correspondent Christiane Benavides reports from Macon, Georgia, where former President Donald Trump is speaking tonight.
In the closing hours of campaign 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke at a church in Detroit Sunday.
These days will demand everything we've got, but when I think about the days ahead and the God we serve, we were born for such a time as this.
Later, the vice president addressed supporters in East Lansing, Michigan.
We will win because here's what everyone here knows. When you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for.
Former President Donald Trump rallied in North Carolina and Pennsylvania. There, he stoked controversy as he talked about the ballistic glass protecting him at the venue.
To get me, somebody would have to shoot through the fake news, and I don't mind that so much.
In a statement, a campaign spokesperson said, quote, "The president's statement about protective glass placement has nothing to do with the media being harmed or anything else." The former president railed against early and mail-in voting while claiming election fraud was already underway.
We should have one-day voting and paper ballots.
This evening, Trump spoke in Macon, Georgia.
With your vote on Tuesday, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country, and I will bring back the American dream.
Following this Georgia rally, the former president will focus on North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan tomorrow.
Keep Kamala and carry on, Allah.
And millions watched Vice President Kamala Harris in last night's opening segment on Saturday Night Live. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Macon, Georgia.
A U.S. federal judge ruled that Iowa can keep challenging hundreds of ballots from potential non-citizens. Republican officials across the nation have made potential voting by non-citizen immigrants an issue, though it is said to be rare. Attorney General Russell Coleman says he's working to protect election integrity with the election fraud hotline. You can now report any suspected election law violations to the Attorney General's election fraud hotline. The number to call is 800-328-VOTE, or you can submit a complaint online at the Attorney General's office website. The election fraud hotline is always open to receive messages. On Election Day, the hotline will be open from 6 until 7 in the evening. Social media could be influencing a whole new demographic to head to the polls. Annalise Russell, an associate professor at UK, says there isn't a lot of research on the connection between social media and voter turnout. However, big celebrities like Taylor Swift can help encourage younger voters to participate.
Maybe they're more likely to vote now because there's an authenticity that comes across on social media.
Russell says while social media can help to inform, it can also spread misinformation. More than 650,000 Kentuckians voted early. Secretary of State Michael Adams says roughly 200,000 people voted yesterday. The first and second days of early voting saw record-breaking turnout. Adams says 52.6% of early voters were registered Republicans, 40.3% were Democrats, and 7.1% were registered as independents or other. In total, close to 800,000 Kentuckians have cast their ballots so far. The candidates are blitzing battleground states in the final days of the campaign. Washington correspondent Ryan Henson shows you where the candidates will be.
At least 72 million plus ballots have already been cast. That's 45% of the 2020 total. And with the White House and both chambers of Congress up for grabs, there's a lot at stake on Tuesday. Let's start with the presidential candidates. Vice President Kamala Harris will be stumping across Pennsylvania, making stops in Pittsburgh and ending in Philadelphia on Monday. Her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, will make stops in Michigan and Wisconsin and spend Election Day in Pennsylvania meeting voters. Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and First Lady Jill Biden will be in North Carolina. Vice President Kamala Harris will take in Election Day from her alma mater at Howard University in Washington, D.C. On the other side of the ticket, on Monday, former President Donald Trump starts in Raleigh, North Carolina, then heads to Pennsylvania for a few stops. His running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, starts in Wisconsin, then heads to Michigan and finishes his day in Atlanta. Former President Donald Trump will watch election results as they come in from West Palm Beach, Florida. In addition to the White House, we're carefully watching the balance of power on Capitol Hill this election. Outside of the campaigns, on Monday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will speak about the importance of disability rights as foreign policy. And that's your week ahead from Washington. I'm Ryan Henson.
And here is just one more reminder. Election Day is this Tuesday, November 5th. Polls will be open from 6 in the morning until 6 in the evening. And once again, you can find election guides, polling locations, and sample ballots at govote.ky.gov. Coming up at 11, kids are back in school after fall break, and so are seasonal sicknesses. We will tell you about one to look out for.
And in the world of weather, we have rain chances in the forecast. Details in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.